You're all set, Chairperson.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This meeting is taking place entirely by teleconference via Zoom. The public is accessing the meeting via the Santa Ana YouTube channel or the city's website. The commission members and I, along with the recording secretary and city staff, are in different locations. Please bear with us as the technology may disrupt the flow of the meeting. So good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the May 4th, 2022 Youth Commission regular meeting to order at 4:35. Will the recording secretary please call roll?
Thank you, Chairperson. Commissioner Cabrera,
Present.
Commissioner Nguyen,
Here.
Commissioner Sarmiento, Commissioner Relis,
Here.
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Vice Chair Weezer,
Here.
Chairperson Verdeen.
Here. Okay.
You have a quorum, Chairperson.
Sounds good. So moving on, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Continuing, next on the agenda is informational items. So I will turn this over to Library Services Director Brian Sternberg for the library staff report.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, members of the commission. I just want to do a really quick update for you on a couple of exciting new programs that we have at the Santa Ana Public Library. One is our Library of Things collection. So why buy, all kinds of gadgets, tools, things like telescopes, laptops, video game systems, when you can check them out here at the Santa Ana Public Library. We call this a Library of Things, which is a unique collection of non-traditional items such as home electronics, toys, games, science kits, musical instruments, telescopes, digital cameras, and more. The Library of Things expands the boundaries of traditional public library collections and evolves from our current lending model, which focused mostly on print, and audiovisual media. So as our community grows more diverse, this is kind of our next step in that evolution, providing a much wider variety of things for the community to use, to learn, to share with their families, and also, be able to bring the family unit together and make connections throughout the community, maybe with other families, in sharing these things and learning about, new electronics or learning how to use a telescope. So just a really great program overall. If you visit our website, which is right on the Santa Ana Public Library's website, www.santa-ana.org/library. You will see our Library of Things collection right at the top of our website. So I encourage everybody to go and check it out, see what items we have in stock. We just started this collection, so there's lots of really neat, cool things that everybody can check out. Free of cost. All you need is your Santa Ana Public Library card, which is also free. The last thing I want to mention is our California State Library Parks Pass program. This was a great program that was rolled out by the state of California, kind of in partnership with Parks and the public library, the state public library. So what this does, it offers at least 3 passes to every public library within the state of California. Now, Santa Ana is going to get a lot more than 3 passes, but what it does is it provides free parking to over 200 participating state parks. Now, these are not federal parks, these are state parks. And there is some limitations and things like that, but you can find out all about it right on our webpage. It's right on the front page 2. Just go there, click on the link. You'll see it says California State Parks Pass Program. You can learn about it. There's some limitations in terms of how many people can be in a vehicle, but essentially it gives you free parking at many of our California state parks. So that is really all I have. Just a really quick update this month. do have a lot of great programs that are going to be offered to for all ages, youth services, adults, seniors. That's all available. You can check out our calendar and see everything that's going on. A lot of STEM programming, a lot of programming focused on training people how to use technology, of course, story times and things like that. So please visit our website. And that's all I have. Unless anybody has a question, I'm here to answer. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Sternberg. Always a pleasure hearing about what exciting things are going on at the library, and it's one of my favorite places in the city. So I'm glad to hear everything that we have going on.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Of course. Next on the agenda is a time for public comments. Recording Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
Thank you, Chairperson Verdin. Just a reminder for everyone, if you wish to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature on the Zoom. At this point in time, I want to remind also everyone that you do have 3 minutes for your comment. We do have public comments, Chairperson. We do have Mr. Hector Bustos. Mr. Bustos, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, Youth Commission. My name is Hector Bustos. I work with a grassroots youth organization here in Santana called the Santana Youth Ballot. I was here about a month ago to share with you all about the need for a youth budget forum. Youth are a really hard to reach population here in Santana, and it's really important that we engage young people in conversations and decision-making that's happening on a citywide level, especially the budget. When we have programs and services that are going to directly impact young people, it's important that we have youth in these spaces to be able to propose ideas, to propose concerns. And I'm also here today specifically to express my frustration and disappointment in city staff and their outreach for young people and this budget forum. To my knowledge and what I've seen, there was only one social media post made 4 hours ago during school hours about the youth budget forum that was happening today during a youth commission meeting. This meeting is happening during a time where a lot of young people who are students, who are still right now at school because of extracurricular activities or because of sports, or who just got out of these extracurriculars and sports and are heading home and couldn't be here because of that. It's important that we take all of these factors into consideration when we make decisions about budget forums like this, about community events, where we're inviting, again, a community that has historically been really difficult to reach. We need to make sure that we're listening to our young people. City staff needs to make sure that they're taking direction from the Youth Commission, because you all are technically working for them. They were all appointed by council members. And from the few times that I've been in these meetings and these spaces, I feel like their direction isn't being taken seriously. So I hope that we can have another youth budget forum that has an in-person opportunity, like was mentioned at the last meeting, as well as a virtual meeting that's done during a time that is accessible to young people, because it's important that young people are in these spaces and having conversations about the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Leonel Flores. Mr. Flores, you have 3 minutes for your comment. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Leonel Flores, lifelong resident here of Santa Ana. I just wanted to encourage the Youth Commission to basically request in these budget meetings funding for more parks, for more youth programs, for more arts programs, and also funding to help deal with our environmental justice issues. Because we're a city that's ridden with a lot of environmental pollution. So hopefully the Youth Commission and the youth that are present, the youth of Santa Ana, can help push to get more funding to do those things, because we need that funding for those programs that are lacking, for more park space that's lacking, and to clean the environment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chairperson, that concludes public comments.
All right then. Nextly on the agenda is the consent calendar. Item 2 and number 3 is the minutes of the regular meeting of April 6, 2022 and excused absences. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 6, 2022 regular meeting and the excused absences?
I motion. I second that.
All right then. I believe that is the end of the consent calendar.
Chairperson, we do need a roll call on that.
Oh, okay. Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Cabrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Nguyen,
Yes.
Commissioner Relos,
Yes.
Commissioner Tucker,
Yes.
Vice Chair Weezer,
Yes.
Chairperson Berdine.
Yes.
Duly noted.
Okay. That's the end of the consent calendar. Didn't say that in the script. Moving on to the business calendar. Today we have one item listed on the agenda. I will turn this over to Recreation and Community Services to Manager Tim Bagano for item 4, which is the budget presentation.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Verdine. I have the pleasure of introducing some of my fellow colleagues, specifically from our finance and management team, based on the direction that we received at our last Youth Commission meeting. We placed an importance around making sure that a budget presentation was presented to the Youth Commission, and highlighted that via our website, via social media, and also through the commissioners, asking them to spread the word so that we can have participation in this. I'd like to welcome Catherine Downs, our Executive Director of Finance and Management Services, Waldo Barella, Budget and Research Manager with our Finance and Management team, and also from the City Manager's Office, Daisy Perez, Assistant to the City Manager. They will be providing the budget update for our Youth Commission, and I'd like to turn that over to them right now. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing us to do a presentation to the Youth Commission. We're just so glad for an opportunity. We know it's been requested, so we're more than happy to share what we've been presenting to other community budget meetings. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get us started. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. Hopefully there's no issues. If there are, please let me know. But just quickly, we're going to go through a quick agenda. We're going to do a little bit of the Revive update. So the Revive program is federal monies that we received, about $128 million. We received the first half last May of $64 million, and the city has programmed that for a variety of services that will go in the next slides. And then we're going to get the other $64 million sometime in May as well. So we'll get $128 million, and all these federal dollars have certain restrictions. We can only spend it in certain ways, and some of it's been planned already, like I mentioned, for this very first year. And then we'll talk about the budget process, because some people are not familiar with the budget process, like how does it work, just kind of a high-level overview as to how it works. And we'll talk about our Measure X spending, which is the city's add-on sales tax of 1.5%, and how we're spending those dollars towards youth, towards homelessness, and other programs. Then we'll talk about the general fund revenues and expenditures. And the general fund is the one that the city council has most discretion to spend the money, so they can decide and make the decisions on how to appropriate the money, and that's what they do every June at the city council meeting. We'll also talk about the Cannabis Public Benefit Fund. I think at your last meeting that was mentioned as well, and we'll talk about how that's been programmed to be spent, and what we spent as of February, because we did this presentation a little bit ahead of time, so we have spending as of February, and talk about the different programs that are in there and some future programs as well. Then we'll talk a little bit about our budget engagement simulation tool, or BEST. This is a tool you can use online and get you accustomed to how the budget is constructed, and allows you to kind of play and add more expenses or reduce expenses, and to see how it interacts with the budget and some of those decisions that the city council has to make as well. And then we'll share with you how you can provide your opinion. This is obviously one forum you can, but there's going to be a few more opportunities to provide your input. So we'll go ahead and share that, and then talk about the next steps. Where do we go from here? And then open it up to questions. And then also, we want to hear from you. So we're going to give you a lot of information, but one of our goals is always to hear, what do you want to see in the budget? What are your ideas? And so I have a lot of my staff online right now, and they'll be taking notes throughout the meeting and capturing those comments. And what we do is we take those comments and we share it with the city manager and city council and say, here's kind of what we've heard from these meetings, from our simulation tool, and from our survey. And this is what the community has placed an emphasis on. So that way they can make decisions. So let me go ahead and talk about the Revive program. There was 5 categories: recovery from the pandemic, direct assistance programs, public health and safety, critical infrastructure, and then city fiscal health, which has to do with making sure that we spend the money in the ways we're supposed to, and also reporting it on a regular basis to ensure compliance, so we don't get any of those federal dollars taken away from programs that we have. So in the recovery from the pandemic, the city council allocated $7.5 million. A large portion went to the OCFA, our fire department, responding to COVID-19 calls. But there's also been a citywide sanitization prevention program in certain qualified census tract areas, and I'll go into that in a minute. And then they're doing an analysis right now to see if it's feasible for the city to have its public health department. Right now, the public health department is the County of Orange, but the city is also exploring, whether it's feasible or not to have one for the city of our size, and that will be able to meet the city's needs. So we'll talk about some of the active ones, and then upcoming is some critical city communication methods. And these are kind of billboards or signs that will be put in different areas throughout the city in order to better communicate things. And so that's going to be under developed as well. And what's been completed is a bus shelter sanitization. All the bus stops have been cleaned in the city. So the sanitization and prevention program is designed to clean up areas such as alleys, sidewalks, bike lanes, and other public right-of-way to clean it, so obviously not further the spread of COVID-19. And so the Public Works Department has taken this on, and there's Public Works crews that are working pretty much every day. So since January 2022, 4,000 locations have been cleaned by 4 crews, 3 staff members each, and each crew covers about 4 miles a day. So based on these federal dollars, we can only do it in certain areas. So that's the blue areas, and then you can see all the yellow dots emphasize those areas that we've cleaned. And obviously this is only through January, so it's not a recent update, but the city does have just as a regular reoccurring of sanitization and prevention program throughout the city. So those other areas don't get neglected, but it's just that these federal dollars can only be spent in these qualified census tract areas. Next part is a direct assistance program, and there's about $29.7 million. And there's some food distribution. There's also been some business and nonprofit programs, some resident direct assistance program, which they did latter part of last year, handing out the gift cards, a total of about $6 million, if I remember correctly. So city handed out a bunch of gift cards to help those, that need those assistance. Then there's also been a rent stabilization and just cause eviction program, as well as a youth violence prevention program. There's still more programs under development that you can see here on the slide, such as after school and youth sports programs. So one of the big things is the rental assistance programs. A lot of people maybe have lost their jobs and just need help with providing for rent. And so the city has been allocated dollars, has been over almost $26 million distributed, another $10 million remaining. The application to close March 31st. But also we've recently opened up the housing voucher program to help people who need help with the rent who can apply. And that just opened this week on May 2nd and goes through the May 31st. So if you know anybody that needs rental assistance, they can go ahead and apply online, or they can also call this number, 714-667-2284. And that'll get them connected to the rental assistance program where they can provide the information and help them along the application process. Public health and safety, the city has a SMART team, which is comprised of different departments, city departments. So planning and building, community development, police department as well. And so that's to respond to calls for homelessness. Then under develop is purchasing of park open space, healthy food access, upgrade park restrooms, security cameras in the parks and community centers, and the addition of possibly a public health plaza in the Civic Center area right here next to City Hall. Rapid Response Homeless Services is provided through our CityNet is the name of the contractor. It operates 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And it helps to reduce the calls that are homelessness related, that are non-emergency calls, and those calls get routed to CityNet, and they go ahead and handle it and address the issues that are needed. And then if you need to call them directly, there's the community line you can see here of 714-242-3706. And so they're 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, and that helps to handle homelessness calls that are dispatched to the police department and get rerouted to CityNet. Last count that we had was from December 1st through January 24th, but I was able to get an update right before this meeting. It's December through April 25th, excuse me. We've outreached to 2,528 individuals. 838 are now at case management. 418 are street exits, which means they've provided some housing or got them placed or maybe reunited them with some families. And then 508 COVID engagements. So that's as of April 25th from December. So within a short amount of time, we've really expanded and reached out to a lot of people. Infrastructure, we're going to use some of this money for our parking structures that we have here in the downtown area to make improvements and make them safe. So about $21 million. And then upcoming projects are expanding or instituting broadband access, renovations to some of our community centers, transformation of our central library, our main library here on Civic Center in Ross, provide pedestrian mobility improvements. So basically the right-of-way sidewalks, information technology upgrades, more street lighting is always needed, and storm drain gates and channel fencing. And lastly, city fiscal health, and that has more to do to make sure that we're spending the dollars the way we should, and also to provide reports, monthly reports or quarterly reports. I can't remember which one it is, but we also have to hire staff. So there's a HR, our human resources department has to go and hire staff that helps to manage some of those programs. And so the portion of this money, about 1.1 million, goes to those types of services. With that, I kind of want to shift to talking about the budget process and how does this kind of all work and where we at. So through the months of November and January, staff does some analysis, they make some assumptions, they get updated information in order to prepare the budgets for the next fiscal year. So if there's increases to health insurance premiums, if there's increases in our retirement rates, or if there's salary increases, we all kind of get that, and then we set dates and provide a calendar of how we're going to accomplish all these tasks and prepare the budget on time. And we deliver the calendar every December. We share it with City Council and we say, here's our plan, here's what we plan to do as part of the budget process. And then in the months of March through April, we met with the city departments and get information as to maybe they need more staffing or they need more monies for upcoming contracts or services. And they put in all their requests. At the same time that is happening, we also are conducting these community budget meetings. So we started in late March with the ComLink meeting, and now we're going to conclude here with the Youth Commission. So we've held some other meetings as well. Then in May 12th, I'll give you a heads up right now. On May 12th, we're going to be going to City Council and preparing a budget workshop where we present the information that we've collected, just provide them some updates that they've asked in the past. And then on May 17th, we'll kind of give them a proposed budget saying, hey, based on all our assumptions and what we think it's looking like, here's kind of what we believe is going to be the budget for this upcoming year. And we asked them for their input as well. In June, because the formal process of adopting the budget, and once the budget becomes adopted, usually in the second meeting of June, second City Council meeting in June, then we begin the next fiscal year, which is July 1, and we begin implementing the new budget with new programs and services. The next slide is what we call the Measure X spending category. And this is what I call the add-on sales tax, 1.5%. And these are how those dollars are distributed and are being spent. So it's a combination of one-time monies. About 21% of the monies here are one-time monies. In other words, you know, if we're buying cars, that's a one-time purchase. You don't continually buy cars, but it's a one-time purchase. So about 21% of the budget is that, with the remaining 79% and reoccurring. That means every year we're paying the same dollar. So it could be staffing that's there, and we keep doing that every year. So some of these dollars are a combination of that. We have 2.4 million that was allocated towards youth services, which in this fiscal year in 21-22 was primarily towards the library and staffing up our library and bring on professional and technical library staff, as well as to provide even more services that the library was unable to provide during the closure. So that's 2.4 million. Maintaining our parks, you know, make park improvements of 5.2 million. Then we have some additional dollars for response to 911. Fixing our streets, of course, is a priority of 4.2 million. And about 9.9 million goes to addressing homelessness. So it's a variety of different dollars that are spent, and all this is general fund money. We talk about our revenues, and revenues is how we pay for our programs and services. So this is to give you kind of a general overview as to how does the money come into the city. So you can see about $80 million has come from property tax. So people who own property in the city have to pay their property tax bill, and a portion of that goes to the county, but a portion also comes back to the city so we can provide those programs and services. We just spoke about the sales tax, the Measure X sales tax of 79 million, and the sales tax of Bradley Burns, which is 1% sales tax, 57 million. And as of last night's council meeting, we've made some adjustments to our sales tax as well. Then there's business tax, hotel visitor tax, cannabis revenue, which we'll get to in a moment. And that's money that the city receives. It's a tax on commercial cannabis. So now that we've seen how the money comes in, this tells us how the money goes out. And so when we adopted the budget back in June, the budget was adopted with $353 million, and it's spread amongst these various departments. So Parks and Recreation is 23 million, Public Works is 15 million, Planning Buildings 15 million. And then on the left side, you see our public safety of both fire and police, which you can see is about 55% of the budget. So the fire department includes our OCFA, it includes also our ambulance service, as well as our paramedic billing program. And then our police department is obviously primarily police officers, and of course is a 24/7 operation. But this is how we currently have the funds allocated at the beginning of the fiscal year. The city, as part of receiving some of the cannabis money, a portion of that, 2/3 goes into what we call the Cannabis Public Benefit Fund. A portion of it is allocated to the Recreation Department, but a portion is also allocated to the library. Library is its own department now, and it's been for 2 or 3 years now. And so they get a portion of the Cannabis Public Benefit Fund. So as of February, when we constructed this presentation, there's about $725,000 that was spent on various programs. But one of them, of course, if Brian is here, I'm sure he'll be really excited, is about the bookmobile. The bookmobile's arrived, is my understanding, and they have a plan to roll out to do that in the summer of this year. There's also been some library youth tutoring program, 500 Google Chromebooks, digital hotspots is 300, and those are well checked out at both the main and New Hope Library. And during the COVID pandemic, there's a lot of things offered online. And so these are some of the programs that are offered online: Hoopla, Mango Language, and Ancestry Library Edition. And so those are programs that will continue, and those are all recurring. Then on the right side, you have projects. So these are one-time dollars that are being spent. There's been renovations at the New Hope Library, and there's still going to be more renovations at the New Hope Library. But also at our main library, they just, in March, opened up the Children's Play and Learn patio, which is on the back side of the library. And it's now open to children. It's really neat to see. Then, of course, our recreation program gets a portion of those monies, and they spent some of them this year. For youth services, they funded 6 nonprofit programs to provide different services: dance, art, STEM program, domestic violence prevention, and other programs and services that they do. The zoo also had some of its events as well. They have a nature lab, a Wild Wednesday story time, and they have other experiences for youth. So there's been some staffing there as well. Then also our Parks and Recreation has now opened up the pools. And so last year they had 300 enrollments, primarily at the Memorial Pool, and also their seasonal aquatics programs. And I believe we also have a pool at Jerome Park, and some of the other parks are probably now going to be open a little bit more this year. They also do monthly excursions. So this can be amusement parks, beaches, whale watching. And so to date, they had 250 youth participate. Then there's also an opportunity for youth to have a paid internship program. And that's run through our community development agency. And so our youth can sign up and be enrolled and get some practical job experience and be paid for that. Last time we got this information was a total of 500 youth have been assisted and 127 are enrolled. And again, these paid internship programs, it's going to be recurring. It's something they're going to do every year. Then there's also the projects, again, one-time dollars, one-time projects that are done. Splash pads is a big one. And currently they're going to have splash pads, or planning to have splash pads at the zoo, Memorial Park, Thornton Park, El Salvador Park, Cesar Chavez Park, and Madison Park. And those are the plans once they get past the design phase, and then they'll go out and bid it and get it to the construction phase. There's also been 7 fitness courts that have been installed. The 3 are in progress. A new exhibit at the zoo, butterfly exhibit, and then a zoo goat escape project as well. It's basically in the design phase. Nothing's been constructed yet, but that's going through the process. And lastly, again, there's some upcoming projects. There's also planned for a recreation mobile. They'll go out into the neighborhoods and community and be able to program, making basically the park recreation programs come to the neighborhood. There's also a renovation that's going to occur at the Nature Center at Santiago Park, right there across the street from the Discovery Cube on Main Street. Traveling zoo exhibit is planned by our zoo. So again, taking out the animals to the community. And then there's also a youth scholarship program for the a variety of sports that the city's offered. So for people who are unable to pay the registration fee, they can apply for the youth scholarship program run by the city. Then lastly, there's an upcoming project for Santa Anita. A new soccer field will be installed as well. So those are upcoming projects. Haven't gotten started, but those are planned projects that are going to be completed. Then I want to talk briefly about the BEST program. It's basically an interactive way of learning about the budget. It's where you can go ahead and increase and decrease expenses. And what you can do is also submit there. There's a submit button you can see on this slide on the lower right-hand side. So as you adjust the budget and you're ready to have the budget in the way you think it's possible, and then you can hit the submit button. And what that does is provides information to us. And then we go ahead and take that information, and then we'll provide it to the city council, and we'll say, hey, people have completed this, this tool and submitted to us. They will go ahead and have an opportunity to do that. And here's their priorities. Here's their top 4 or top 5 priorities. And here's what they prioritize here. Part of this simulation tool is to get that information, but there's also what we call the prioritize tool. And that's what we give you $11 million and allows you to prioritize a variety of different groups. And so there's sidewalks, graffiti abatement, youth intervention, homeless services, additional library services, and there's a few other more that allows you to pick and choose what you want to do and allocate those $11 million. There's also an other button where you can put what other programs and services that are maybe not mentioned here, and you can allocate dollars towards that as well. And again, you provide that to us, you select it and you submit it. That gives us information that we can share with the city council and say, these are how people prioritize these categories. They saw youth intervention prevention programs the most important, or graffiti abatement, and maybe economic development, and maybe youth. So here's another way where you can provide us some information. So the next slide is talk about how you can provide your input. Obviously, you can provide your input today at this meeting. Like I said, my staff is here and they'll take notes. You can also email us. You can call us. You can complete an online survey that we have there in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. You can click on those links. There's also, like we mentioned about the simulation tool, has something you can submit to us, and the prioritize tool as well has another link you can submit to us and complete that information. So where are we at? We've already held a variety of community budget meetings already, and May 4th is the last one, which is today at the Youth Commission. So we've completed those meetings. But then we have a lot of city council meetings, and this is where the public can attend and provide their public input. Those are being held. May 12th is definitely scheduled on the calendar, and I believe we start at 5:00 p.m. on that day. And that city council meeting is dedicated solely to the budget. So there won't be a lot of the other agenda items that is in a typical city council meeting. So this will be May 12th, which is going to be next Thursday. So it's not held on the Tuesday city council meeting. The May 17th, however, is a Tuesday city council meeting. And again, the public can come and provide their information during public comments. So May 17th is another opportunity for you to directly share your comments with the city council. And then we have 2 more meetings on June 7th and June 21st, in which, again, you can attend those meetings and provide your input. And you can still continue, since the city is still doing some of this online with the city council meetings, you should be able to call in and provide your public comment. But those are the variety of the ways you can provide your input. And so we in turn can share that information about what we collected and provide it to the city council. With that, I'll just open it up to any questions or comments, or like I said, what we're really looking for is input on what you want to see in this year's upcoming budget.
Real quickly, I'm not sure if anyone else wants to ask a question, but I was wondering on slide, let me check. I'm following along with the presentation on my phone. It was, I'm so sorry, can't find it.
Okay.
But it mentioned that there was partnership with 6 nonprofits for youth services. What youth services in particular? Oh, here it is on slide 20. Youth services funded 6 nonprofits that offer dance, music, STEM, et cetera, et cetera. What nonprofits were they?
I can get the information, but Kim, I don't know if you know what nonprofits that have been engaged.
I can take a guess. I think the decision to fund those 6 nonprofits, Chairperson Verdin, may have preceded my time here in this role, but I'll also lean on Recording Secretary Sandoval Bill, do you happen to know? If not, we can certainly find the information and provide that to you, Chairperson Verdeen. But like I said, I think that preceded my time.
Waldo, I have that list.
Okay, Daisy, you have the list of who the
Yeah, so it
consultants
was
are.
13,500 for back house dance. We also funded Child Creativity Labs, the Media Arts Santa Ana, Human Options, Pacific Symphony, and the Cambodian family.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy.
Chairperson Berdine and members of the Youth Commission, I think it's really important that, as Waldo did his presentation, that there is the online survey that everyone can access through those links that were provided on that presentation, as well as the budget engagement simulation too. So if some of the commissioners this evening may want to take this presentation and kind of go through it on their own this evening, and then provide some other input with the online survey, that's definitely a way to go, or even also emailing the budget office. But again, you're more than welcome to provide your comments this evening.
Yeah, and we'll be taking that information at least probably through the weekend. Obviously, we have to cut it off to, again, compile data and share information. So we'll take information, given that this is a little bit latter part, through the weekend. So give you an opportunity to fill it out and share it with other people as well.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
And Waldo, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not just for questions about the presentation. This is the portion of time where our commissioners can provide feedback and input as far as maybe some programs and services that they would like to see in the future based on the budget that's being developed, and things for the finance and management team to present to the city council and also to the city manager, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So what we're looking for, like I said at the beginning, is your input, your ideas on what you want to see. So if you say, we'd like to see more park space, or we want a skate park, or we want this or that, like we want to take that information and say, we're at the Youth Commission and here's what we heard. We heard these comments. And then we take the comments, like I said, take the survey and some of the other information and compile an overview. But we definitely want to share the comments that we hear at every meeting such as this.
Yes, I do have something to say. I'd like to see, hopefully sometime near in the future, maybe something like, because there's so many like diverse cultures in Santa Ana, and I'm sure there are many people, at least me, including me, would like to see like what is exactly in my blood and what's rooted in my family. So maybe something like we could do like a testing to see what we like, I guess our roots, like somewhere in the library or something.
So something like an ancestry.com or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll make a note of that.
And I'm not sure if I missed it, but is any of the money going to help restaurants recover from the pandemic? I would like to see some of that.
There's, obviously there's a lot of different funding sources that we do, but we do provide a downtown business assistance program to help the businesses that were recovering in the downtown area. So that's the only one that I'm aware that the city is helping businesses in that area. So whether it be restaurants or other types of businesses in the downtown area, that's the only one we do. But certainly we can take your comment and share that with the city council. as well. But that's the only one that I'm aware of, unless Daisy or Catherine, if you can think of anything else that's going
I can
exclusively
add
to
to that,
restaurants.
Waldo.
Was that?
Well, not necessarily specific to restaurants, but we do have $3 million allocated from Revive for different small business assistance programs. So that can also just be helping like small mom and pop shops that want to start their own restaurant or, become a much more established food venue. We're working with like a small business incubator program, but there's over $3 million in investments there. And then separately, we didn't highlight it here, but we had Santa Ana Cares before we had Revive, where we invested millions of dollars towards assistance programs for restaurants and small businesses during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you. Because I feel like, it's really important if we're going to talk about preserving and expressing our different cultures to promote these small businesses. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nguyen. Are there any other comments from the commissioners?
So is this exactly supposed to be what was supposed to be like the community for like budget forum? Like the space right here, right now?
Yeah, this is what we've been doing with the other meetings that I've shared. And we went out to, this week, we went to El Salvador Park. We've been to other areas of the city, and we're doing this similar presentation. We kind of tailored a little bit more towards youth and focus on those things. But this is what we've been doing, and we've been asking for their input in addition to the survey and the BEST tool and the Prioritize tool. That's part of the BEST program, the Simulate and Prioritize tool, emails, online survey, those things. We take all that information. This is just another opportunity to do that, and obviously to reach out to the youth. And in the future, we can continue to do this. Maybe we do a little bit earlier, but as you can see from our schedule that I went over, it's like March and April. It's kind of when we start engaging the community and start sharing this information.
Yeah, there were 8 different community budget meetings that Waldo and his staff have done. And then in addition, 3 outreach events, the Community Resource Fair, Excellent Adventure, Dia de los Niños. So they've been out in the community quite a bit this year, in addition to all the online tools available.
And members of the public can continue to ask questions, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, do you guys have any numbers particularly on how many, I guess, people who would be considered youth, I guess, under 18, you guys know for sure you guys have reached and asked questions directly, like, hey, what do you want to see in this budget? Or is there anything besides the survey, like other than that, like what other efforts have been made by city staff to like reach out to the youth community of Santa Ana?
Yeah, thank you for your question. This is, obviously one way of doing this, but as always, we're, open to other ways of reaching out to the youth. If there's more specific ways to reach out, we're open up to your ideas and to see like, well, maybe you can do this or maybe you can do that. Because obviously we're building on what we started during COVID. We didn't do a community budget meeting. So this year was the first time we were able to kind of go out into the community and develop surveys and stuff like that, because people still may not want to attend these community budget meetings. So we've had more responses to surveys than we've had to actual community budget meetings. So the surveys has really played an important part in providing us some level of information that we can share. But we're always looking at different ways of doing that. So if you have any ideas, I'm open to what you have to suggest.
All right, then, because honestly, yes, we as the Youth Commission last meeting, we did request a youth budget forum, but I am very disappointed with the lack of advertising and outreach that was done. No outreach to the school district as well as actual individual families. And this meeting is taking place very early in the day where youth are still in extracurricular activities and still trying to get home. And I only saw the social media post about 3 hours ago. And I really am disappointed because there was just to what extent, other than the social media posts like 3 hours ago and the small reminder email that the city go to promoting this, I guess, event meeting.
Yeah, we promoted a lot of events, all the other events prior to this meeting, of course, that we had planned to. And then when we were asked about providing the same information to the Youth Commission, you certainly said yes. We've updated it on our presentation as soon as the meeting was scheduled. And so on some of the prior meetings, maybe not the first meeting at the Comlink or maybe the next one after that, but we shared that. But all these meetings were advertised primarily through social media. There was also a text that went out of about 47,000 text messages that went out to let people know about the community budget meeting, and also let them know they can always visit our website, which provides all the meeting dates. And so once we had this scheduled and once we had the link, then we went ahead and updated our budget webpage. But certainly there can be more concerted effort to reach out to the youth. And certainly we can start it earlier. There can also be other opportunities to just kind of share the budget even after the budget process. I watched your meeting from last month in which you talked about a youth summit, and maybe a component of that is just understanding the budget and what are opportunities to learn more and when can we engage or plan accordingly to attend these meetings. But there's other opportunities. Like I said, on May 12th, city council meetings at 5 p.m. So that's another opportunity. And then at the regular city council meeting on May 17th, and usually a city council meeting starts at 6 p.m. So there's opportunities where you can provide information even after today.
And let me jump in, Chairperson Verdin, too. We, as a staff, heard the Youth Commission at our last meeting, which only took place a month ago. And for us to reach out to our finance and management team and ask them to incorporate us when we weren't on their schedule. All the community events that that they had planned was already in the books. They are identifying locations and everything like that. So for them to not only listen to our previous meetings where we've discussed the Youth Summit, the Santa Ana Arts Academy, and really take the time to structure this presentation so that it can maybe meet some of the needs of the youth commissioners in our prior meetings and everything like that. This is the first time that post-COVID that we're able to arrange a virtual meeting, for the Youth Commission to talk about budget and give you guys and the people that are on online with us the opportunity to share input, and furthermore, it's been on our website since we were able to connect with our budget and our finance and management team. So it has been there to be accessed by the website and by our residents. And in addition to that, we shared with our youth commissioners, spread the word. We want to have the interaction from the youth, and you guys being the youth representatives, that's a responsibility that, as a staff, we share with you guys because we want you guys to be those representatives and to really engage your peers and encourage them to be a part of this, and so I'm happy to see that we do have a few folks that are online, and I appreciate the comments that have been made by some of the commissioners, but I would encourage everybody to take this opportunity to share your thoughts, your input, and really engage our finance and management team with the presentation that they provided. And again, a special thank you to our finance and management team, and also our city manager, our assistant to the city manager, Daisy Perez, for taking the time to share this information with us.
So you said that you guys did send out the email to share this meeting that was taking place today. I actually checked back, and yes, we did receive a meeting, but as a matter of fact, I was actually AP testing yesterday when this email was sent out yesterday, exactly a day ago, Tuesday, May 3rd at 8:13 a.m., a day ago. That's not even enough time to make a graphic and alert everyone that's going on, everyone in the community that this would concern about all of this. I mean, we do appreciate that, yes, that this is happening in the first place, but it's not acceptable because it was listed as a presentation, not as a community meeting. I checked the agenda, and besides the actual presentation itself, it is listed as, oh, it's a presentation. The Youth Commission receives presentations all the time. I thought it was just a debrief on what the budget is actually going to have, but not actually including in community members. And besides city staff, I can see in the Zoom room, there was probably about 2 people that are members of the community and are not city staff or commissioners. And that is disappointing, but I'm not surprised because we were in 5th period when we received the text message. And when earlier when I asked, oh, well, to what extent was this particular meeting advertised and promoted, you said that there was a text message going around, and we, as the commissioners, we are all signed up to the city's text messages. We know what's going on in the city, and there was nothing until we were in 5th period. So I feel like this was almost an elaborate attempt to say, oh yeah, we talked to the youth commission and we talked to the youth of our city, but this is just not acceptable. I want to know how much time was put into this and why there was no direct communication between actual youth, not just the commissioners, but the youth of Santa Ana. Did you send any flyers or emails to the, any students of the school district, or like flyers even on social media? All the youth is on social media, and there was nothing until about 4 hours ago now, because this meeting has gone on since I last said that it happened 3 hours ago. I
would really like us to focus on constructive suggestions for the future. We are all here to serve the public, and we like your feedback as far as, constructive suggestions. The city council directs the use of staff resources, and the city council from the dais has, I've been in every single city council meeting, and from the dais, they have instructed for the youth commission to provide feedback on cannabis public benefit fund spending for youth activities, what your priorities are and such. So had we received that instruction from the city council early on that they would like us to have some kind of engagement with the youth, we would have been on that. But again, let's focus on constructive ideas for the future, so that we can get it right next time, and you guys can give the input that you want to give.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
So I think what Chairperson Verdeen is saying is, we had a meeting last month about us being involved in a process of which we get youth's opinion on what they want to see. Now, I am Vice Chairperson. I haven't received any emails saying this was going to take place. And then, like, this is all coming from a good place. We want to be involved. But I think we feel like we're not included in important decisions that are going to affect us. And like the events for the youth are going to affect us. We are the youth. So I think we want to feel included. But are telling us like, oh, we did reach out an email. I was in 5th period when I didn't even get a text message about this. I barely saw the thing about the Instagram thing, and I have the notifications on for the city of Santa Ana, so every time they post, I get a notification. I didn't get a notification like until like late, and I wasn't. Then so I looked at the agenda, and I wasn't told that this was a public meeting, like Chairperson Verdine said. I thought it was like our normal thing because we always get presentations. I thought it was a normal meeting until I was informed by Commissioner Verdine that this was a public meeting. And I think like we're okay with that. But I think being informed ahead with an email prior, like we got email yesterday. I think being informed 2 days ahead about that it's a public meeting will give us time to prepare, or sending us the presentation ahead of time so then we can go over it as a group in this meeting would be beneficial. But the day before, telling us the day before, like, hey, we're changing things, wasn't beneficial. And it's kind of holding us back from actually proceeding through this meeting. I think we're just taking up a bunch of your guys' time, which is not necessary. But I think there's a lot of things we could do to benefit our collaboration in the future. But I think one of them is communication. Like having us involved in the process of which is going to benefit us, like asking us, what do you guys want to do? And then you guys doing it without informing us we're doing it. I think that would be beneficial for just like informing us that we are included in a process that is going to benefit us. We are considered, because as the youth, we're not seen as adults as responsible, or not seen in general. Our opinions aren't valid to some adults. I think including us in a process will show like the process of like, hey, we got this. We are just as capable as other people doing it, but us not being even included, not a message being like, hey, we're doing this, tell your friends, bring them out to a park, we're going to these meeting dates. I didn't receive an email about that. I never got a message about that. And I went to a meeting, I think last week, and I don't know the exact meeting, let me pull up my email though, but I was involved in that one. And nothing was brought up during that one either. It was the Parks Master Plan Advisory Group Park Advisory meeting. I attended that one, and it was like 2 hours long, and they asked me to join, and I didn't see the message till that day again. And I wasn't involved in any process. They're talking about parks that are going to affect us. I'm part of this committee, and then they didn't even ask for like my opinion. But I think just in general, including us would be beneficial for all of our positions, so we can avoid conversations like this in the future. Because now all of our time is just us going to talk about the constructive criticism.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think we've heard you. We can certainly improve communication in the future. You know, obviously we can't go back and rehash the past, but certainly we can improve it. And I've just written it down, like improve communication to reach out to the youth. So I hear you loud and clear. And so, you know, but obviously, in addition to that, we do want to hear what you want to see in this year's budget.
Chairperson Verdine, let me jump in here real quick. I want to thank the Finance Department and everyone that did the presentation today, as well as the commissioners that provided the comments. May I suggest, Chairperson, that maybe at the next meeting, we can definitely bring up to, as a new business, ways that we can have communication within any of our departments when it comes to these type of meetings and the Youth Commission, and we can kind of discuss that further at that point in time. I want to remind also the commissioners that we do have some dates that were provided by the Finance Department as far as where individuals can still attend on that. The Youth Commission being the ambassadors of youth, I would suggest to also start spreading that information out for the May 12th, May 17th meetings as well. But I also agree with Mr. Varela. Is there anything that the commission at this point in time would like to see included on the budget? Case in point, I know that in past meetings, we have worked on on the items that we are looking at for your workshops and all. I believe Chairperson Verdine, you had mentioned something before you did your presentation regarding on the arts for youth. Is that something that maybe you would like to see more in the budget?
Yes, of course. We would like to see allocation for funds towards like more funds, possibly for I mean, in the youth commission, we're already planning some sort of instrument rental program, and as well as possibly free lessons for instruments based on used with allocated funds from the city council, because we know we have the money there. A skate rental program would be great. A skating rink. There needs just to be more active involvement between city staff and the actual, I guess I can say, community of youth, because we know that the city of Santa Ana is a young city. The majority of us, I forgot the exact number, but we're like under the age of 32. And that is a lot of people that the city needs to actively work to engage, as well as listen to their opinions and what kind of support that they need from the city. And again, that ties into everything here. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any other comments.
Thank you, Chairperson. Duly noted. Anybody else from the commission have any comments as far as any type of programs of funding that should be included on the presentation that was provided by Mr. Barella? Okay.
I do have a comment.
Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, so I was wondering if we could allocate more money towards youth-oriented events, if that's possible, or something like that. Or something like what I mean by events is like arts and stuff, like what Boca de Oro, what the district does, but in the city's way. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can put that request, and the more specific you are as to what type of event, I just notated arts, but if there's something even more specific, then we can just convey. So when we say youth events, we can say such as, arts or different types of programming. So
yeah, arts. That's all I got. Arts. Basically, yeah, just arts, I guess, something like that, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I definitely wrote down about the instrument rental program, because I did listen into that meeting, and that's another thing we can notate. The funds be allocated towards that program. So that's something else we can notate as well.
Great comments, everyone. Anyone else on the commission?
Bill, can I make an announcement?
Sure, go right ahead.
So the city manager's office oversees communications, including the city's social media accounts. And right now we're actively recruiting for 2 college interns. So as you guys are graduating, if you're still in high school, we're opening up 2 social media internships paid by the city to help us with our Instagram account, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. So we encourage all of you to apply if you're interested in that, and then also to spread the word. We want to make sure we get good candidates, especially those that live within the city, to really help us really activate our social media platforms and engage the youth in all of our communities. So I can share information with Parks and Recreation staff so they can send that to you guys. And then if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Daisy. That'll be great.
If that information could please be forwarded to all the commission, that would be greatly appreciated, and as well as Daisy's contact information. Thank you. But adding on to that, honestly, I agree with Commissioner Relas. There should be more youth-oriented events, but more in particular, yeah, like Boca de Oro, arts festivals, concerts in the park, maybe just anything beyond beyond what we already have with the excursion program, youth excursion program. It can be expanded upon, what youth exactly can have. because right now, for the most part, we only have the excursion program and maybe a few select sports programs that we still have to pay for. Our families still have to pay the registration fee. And I understand that there is a scholarship for it, but if there's money there and it can be allocated, why charge any families anything at all? If it should already be paid for. There should be less barriers between, I guess, the youth and accessing events from the city, as well as programs that are offered. And overall, just improvement in communication.
Thank you, Chairperson. Anything else? Any other comments from the commission? Okay, without seeing any, I want to take this opportunity to thank Waldo, Catherine, and his crew, as well as Daisy, for providing this information to us today. Thank you so much for doing so. I definitely think that, there was a lot of information that was given and a lot of input, and I'm sure that the Youth Commission, as well as the public, will be accessing our surveys and giving you guys some info. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you guys for allowing us to share.
Thank you. Chairperson, the floor is yours.
That was already public comments regarding the item, correct?
That is correct. I don't see any raised hands for public comment at this point in time.
All right, then next on the agenda are commission comments. This is a time for each commissioner to provide comments if you wish, but it's not required. We will start with Commissioner Tucker. Commissioner Tucker? All right, we'll get back to them. Commissioner Nguyen?
I think this meeting was productive. I think the 2 weeks between now and the budget, we'll have to look closer into that. And with the issue regarding the gap in advertising, let's get on that straight away because there's still time. And, the youth can still use that program to give their input. So I feel like we should advertise that, keep it useful. And yeah.
Commissioner Reles?
No comments.
Commissioner Cabrera?
I have no comments right now. Thank you.
Vice Chair Huizar?
This meeting was productive. We figured out ways we need to collaborate and communicate, but other than that, I have no other comments.
Okay, as for my comments, I would like to see another attempt at this before the budget, maybe within the next 2 weeks, if that is enough time, to have more outreach to the youth beyond just the surveys. We will be sure to spread the surveys with our peers as well as fellow community members, but there needs to be some sort of, but it needs to be like well advertised and promoted. Maybe in schools, we could collaborate with the school district to see, make sure get the youth's opinion and ideas in this, because if the youth commission barely knew, like we found out in 5th period about the particular content of this meeting beyond thinking it was just a presentation, which technically it was, but not specifically like the forum, the one that we asked for. I would like to see it separate from any youth commission meeting, or even we could call a special meeting, particularly just for the floor to be open to the youth of Santa Ana. And we would like to see it well promoted, because if the youth commission barely knew, imagine the students, not students, youth who are not, I guess, civically active and have never really interacted with the city itself. Like, how are their voices matter just as much as ours, and we would like to hear from them as well. There needs to be some sort of outreach. And I can't remember exactly who said, like, what if they don't want to interact with them with these meetings, like just addressing that type of thing. If you don't give them the opportunity to interact with these meetings, then there is just, it's redundant. So any other than that, is there any other final comments, questions from staff or commissioners?
I want to thank all of you guys for your comments and everything like that today. I agree with some of the commissioners' responses as far as it being a productive meeting, but definitely we identify some areas of opportunity and everything as far as how we conduct this process moving forward. I hear you, Chairperson Verdeen, as far as trying to organize something between now and I believe it's May 12th. From what our Waldo shared with us and everything. We'll bring that back into staff and see if we can work with the finance and management team to construct something like that. But just, again, and I'm not making excuses, but I just want to make sure that, the timeline that we're in right now, as far as them preparing and developing budgets and everything, they're kind of in their 11th hour as far as being able to present something to city council and city manager. So, we may, and internally as, city staff from Parks and Recreation may have to work with them to provide the time and space that it would be us basically holding that forum and, maybe giving the information that we learned today in a more back and forth. But like I said, if you give me some time to, take that back to staff and work with them and see what we can come up with, we'll definitely try to come up with some options between now and that May 12th date. A couple of announcements for you all. So May 14th, there's a LA Galaxy trip with the Teen Excursion Program that's going to be taking place. There are still spots available. It is completely free. It's just a matter of accessing the website. It is up on the website right now. And if it's the commission's desire, we can certainly follow up with the email so that there's a link so that can be spread to all of the, of your constituents. On June 17th, and I know that we've talked about what services and programs are going to teens. We've actually been developing a teen and older youth program within the Parks and Recreation Community Services agency. And we are going to be doing a grand opening of the hub at Salgado Center, which is going to be targeted for teen participants. And so I know the team over there is working very diligently at making that a very special event for our teen and our youth within the city. So as soon as we get information on that and what the grand opening looks like I said, I mentioned it is June 17th. We will also provide that information to the commission. We are going to be doing on-site hiring events at local Santa Ana high schools. We just got approval from our HR department to be able to go to, I guess, those individuals that are interested in obtaining summer work. So instead of you and your peers having to come to us through governmentjobs.com, we're actually going to be on site and we can actually take applications, do background checks through fingerprinting and all that type of stuff on site. And then we can engage right then and there and kind of talk about what the position would be. This would be for recreation services in addition to possibly some positions over at the Santa Ana Zoo. And lastly, based on our conversations that we've had in our previous meetings and everything, I have connected with the Riverside Arts Academy and one of their representatives, and they are prepared to provide a presentation at our June meeting in which they will kind of demonstrate to this commission what they've done. And I was really excited once I was able to connect because they do have an instrument petting zoo, like what you guys were talking about. And that was actually something that they shared with us, that is something that they've incorporated into their Riverside Arts Academy, in addition to art, digital art, musicianship, music theory, all that type of stuff. And it's a really vibrant program, has been for a really long time. And it's something that if the commission finds value in, I think it would be something that moving down the road in terms of input for budget discussions, because I hear and I have heard from all the commissioners that art and cultural impact services are definitely something that this commission wants to see the Parks and Recreation Community Services Agency take a look at more intentionally moving forward. So wanted to share that with you, and that is all I have as far as a staff report. Again, thank you everybody for your comments, and you have been heard, so appreciate it.
All right, that sounds good in regards to the Riverside Arts Academy reaching out. I'm very happy to hear that, and hopefully we can implement something similar based on their presentation. Sorry about that, if you can hear that motorcycle. But yeah, thank you, city staff. Thank you, commissioners, for being here. Is there anything else?
That is it, Chairperson.
Okay, with that being said, this is the conclusion of the meeting. The next meeting will take place Wednesday, June 1st at 2022. Meeting adjourned at 5:54. Thank you.